Welcome to the show No Instructions, where we meet with founders and interview them about starting and growing their businesses. I'm your host, Chad Ingram, 3-time founder and CEO at Distro. Distro is a platform to help businesses build teams by breaking down borders around the world. Let's go ahead and get started with today's guest and see how they built their business. Welcome to the show No Instructions today. Today I have a very interesting character named Scott Paul. And for those that, yeah, he's a character for sure. I mean, I'm looking at him today if you're not looking on video, and he's wearing what kind of hat? That is like a
badger.
Yeah, okay.
I did a fur trade at a ski resort in Idaho, and I bought this off a man's head. Wow. I saw it and I said, I have to have that. And I sent one of my friends to go barter with him on Venmo, and I acted like I was from a different country, and so that we were using 2 different languages, but we both spoke English. It was funny. And I pulled this baby down for about $750, I think. I was $750.
Mm-hmm.
Is probably worth half that.
Is that shit warm?
It is so warm.
Then it's worth it.
And it's the amount of joy it's given me and the places I've gone with it. This is a bargain. I bet I could sell this right now for $4,000. Someone watching this after I tell the stories of the badger.
You should, dude.
Yeah.
I bet you have worn. When I look at that hat, I feel like I've seen. That I haven't seen it, but I feel like I could imagine that you have worn just that hat before only.
Oh yeah, that for sure. And then the place it's been. I mean, our clothing has history.
Yeah, for sure.
We got to think the fact that there's like Poshmark in these places where they're selling secondhand clothing for less than when they bought it. I think clothing should go up in value as experience are given to it.
Okay,
it's a weird theory. It just came up right now, but like this place that this Murakami sweater's been.
Yeah. Also, the sweater.
Those are stories.
The sweater also is vibrant and colorful.
Shoes,
I didn't even see the shoes
because they're my NFTs that got minted on the
really?
blockchain. Yeah.
Do you still have NFTs?
I do.
Oh, okay, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
okay, all right.
They're real. What are you going to show my NFTs right now? We're only 5 minutes in, and you're gonna invalidate all that I've been working towards?
No, not at all.
I know.
Okay,
I just have fun with you.
So
some people would, but you wouldn't.
Okay, so currently, as I see Scott Paul, Scott Paul is co-founder of Fi.
I am a co-founder in a AI healthcare company called Fi.
Okay.
PHI.
Do you guys have a URL yet?
We have at Fi on Twitter, so at PHI. It'll be on TikTok as well, and then also on Instagram soon. And then Fi.health is the URL.
Fi.health, great. And you're also a partner at a little up-and-coming VC fund, right?
VC with Trent Mano.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years, and we invest in startups that are pre-seed and here in Utah, usually doing something scalable. And I love that so much, but I can only give it a little bit of my time because it's so. What's the claim to fame?
What's the claim to fame on? Isn't it the
claim to fame? Is that somehow people gave Scott Paul money to manage. Some of the claim to fame is that
I know some of these people.
Anybody out there that wants to take other people's money and invest it in startups can do it because this motherfucker did.
Because he did it. Hey, I know some of your LPs. They're not too crazy.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's possible.
Great. Yeah,
it's possible.
Great.
I thought maybe you are one.
No, not right now. I don't know why I'm not.
I'm going to use a commitment pattern on you right now and get you to. It's like Trent.
I think I would have been sooner if I didn't put so much money into my own startup.
That's a good way to do it.
Well,
if you have money, if you have a startup, the first tranche of money should go to that.
Yeah.
Before you go and bet on other people.
You know what's weird?
Bet on yourself first.
Well, what's weird? Yeah, that's true. I totally agree with that. And an early mentor I had told me the same thing. But what's weird is because of my last startup Jump, we were competitive with Podium, and everybody and their mom was in Podium, and so I was rejected in my own land. You know what I'm saying? So I raised mostly outside of Utah, and so I wasn't as tight with all the other VC community here in Utah, but okay.
That's interesting.
So for you and your situation, we need to hear your story, which, dude, we could probably spend 24 hours diving into this shit. But I'm curious.
A lot of my stories on my email that goes out every day.
I get it. I get it.
You got that email?
Do. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, it's just going to be an ongoing story.
And this is another tangent.
And I'm here because I just want fodder for the AI. You know, that's all I do a podcast for.
Yeah. There you go.
AI's going to read all these podcasts.
Yeah,
so we want to keep talking to it.
Yeah, it's true. So at Distro, we actually wrote our own microservice AI.
Oh, cool.
And it was like, that's again another tangent, but like it is so cool. Like we're in the
second renaissance right now.
Yeah,
like we are in.
It's going to change everything.
This is not internet again. This is not getting to the moon, spacecraft. This is no one's been here before in any way possible. Like we don't even know. We can't even start getting any accurate projections of what 6 years looks like from now because of what it's done.
It changes search forever, right? Like search is not dynamic.
Yeah, search is not. Yeah,
they're both algorithmic, but it's going to change everything. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the question.
Please.
Where does your story start?
Well, I think it's important to understand this, Chad, is that something I call, well, it's actually Kirk's IP, but it's called a come meditation.
Okay.
And we're not editing this out because it's important we talk about it.
No, that's fine.
I was squirted out of my dad, and I was around probably hundreds of thousands.
And you won.
People. And I got to it. What is it called again? I know it's an egg, but like there's something, maybe it's I can't remember the name of it.
Text my wife.
But I won.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands, like maybe millions. Like we should get it accurate, but that's a big race.
That is a big race.
That you have like one shot at too, by the way. You weren't training for that marathon or that sprint. So the story really does start there. And that's where it starts for you too.
Yeah.
We're all by nature winners. And if you got here and you're listening to this, you won a crazy ass race. And so somehow, whatever energy it took me to outflap the other guys, I still have it.
Yeah.
I'm still just like going towards a big orange sun somehow.
Yeah.
And it probably wasn't orange. It wasn't colorful, but it's probably dark. It was probably
a little dark
had no
in
eyes.
there.
So it was probably pretty dark when we were doing
night
this race.
Vision or some shit.
Yeah, but that's where my story starts. And it's important you understand that because that's a big part of what we're doing right now at my latest company. Because where I also end is this the biology of winning this race as a little single cell, whatever I was.
So, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Bay Area, California.
And
I have one memory before that. I was born in Utah. I was born in Park City. My dad was a ski bum, and I was born up there. And but my first memories are in Bay Area, Concord, Walnut Creek area. I have one memory. My dad went to Purdue. I know I have one memory being in like some bed crib place in Indiana. Mm-hmm. What's your earliest memory? Have you ever thought about the earliest thought?
Dude, diving into my brain's crazy, dude, because I was orphaned at 10 days old. And really? Then I lived with like other random family for like 9 months. So you probably had some
like blockages. Traumatic stuff that you blocked or you remember.
For sure. So I was the last of 7 initially. And I was a baby, and my dad, the oldest was 11 when my mom died. And so my dad was just like shell shocked. And so family took me away to take care of me because I was a newborn.
You were orphaned.
I was orphaned for sure.
It was interesting.
And a therapist when you first told me
that. I thought an orphan, for some reason I went to abandoned orphan because that's how I think of orphan is like you were an orphan. It means you lost your mom.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, correct. And so like I was actually talking to my wife about this last week because she kept bringing up memories she had when she would have been like 3, and I'm like, I can't remember anything. So I'm like 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, right?
Yeah.
And
so that's when your story begins then.
Yeah, that's when it begins.
Really early.
Yeah, it would be really early for sure.
That's all. So I had a pretty.
One of these days, I'll do an episode on my podcast. You should. And you should interview me.
I would love to interview you. Okay. I would love to do that. We can start right now.
Yeah, we can go right an hour 2, right after. Okay, so what did your parents? What did your parents do for work?
My dad was always in like commercial real estate, but as a security. So putting together like REITs and stuff.
Yep.
Limited partnerships. He that's what took him to California after his MBA. He ended up at a company in Oakland, and so he'd commute to Oakland. And then he, by like 10 years into working for other people, he also was an entrepreneur, started his own firm.
Okay.
And so I kind of watched that growing up as a kid.
How old were you about roughly when he started his own firm, do you think?
I was probably 14, 15.
And so,
no, I was a little bit younger. I was, 12. So most of my memories are him not having a boss.
Yeah.
He was the boss, right?
How did that influence you, if it did?
A lot. Yeah. I think I watched him use time however he wanted. So he never had an excuse of I can't do that or I can't do this, or he used his time exactly how he saw it fit.
Did you observe him not working, or like, did he work?
Oh, he would always work, but he'd play hard too.
Yeah.
He was always climbing mountains or doing something. So I observed him doing whatever he wanted. I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I want, like when I'm older.
Because I feel like you go hard too.
Yeah, I do.
For sure.
So, and then I've got a 15-year-old who does the same thing. And I'm like,
she goes extra hard.
Oh my gosh. She just, whatever she wants, does whatever she wants. And she ain't going to let anybody tell her no.
Really?
She's 15, so it's like that. And she's female, so it's a whole different hybrid situation.
She'll kick your ass, dude, if she listens to this podcast.
She's already won us over.
How does your wife Natalie handle it?
Yeah, so my wife has mostly been at home with the kids, kind of helping out with all the startups on the side.
Yeah.
And being very helpful in everything, but not really being paid, because we're always, as a startup, you're like, it's kind of a teamwork. You don't really pay yourself until there's a cash out at the end.
Right.
And she handles, she comes from a family of teachers, so very risk averse.
Really?
Yeah, two teachers.
How is that being with you though? You're like, risk everything.
I was the opposite. Her father-in-law just died 2 months ago, and it was he had a great life and a great person, and actually did the teaching thing really well, maxed out driver's ed too. So he died with millions of dollars.
Wow.
Just great example of how it doesn't really matter. Every vocation can, with some real planning, can lead to a life well lived, and leave, something for your family and live a good life. And so he did.
Yeah.
So she saw, but he did that with about as risk averse as you could.
Yeah. He
went, every route he went was pretty risk free, except for when he got some Bitcoin really early with me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's funny. I remember being like 21 and talking to somebody, like trying to get life advice from somebody that was way more experienced than me. Yeah. And I was going to him, because I wanted to pursue this lawyer track, and that's what I was going to do. But I said to him, I was like, I need to decide which law school to go to and where to apply and stuff. And he goes, like being a lawyer was better than a lot of alternatives. And his response to me was, somebody's got to build buildings.
Yeah.
Like there is a place for everyone. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like we love to talk about how awesome it is to be an entrepreneur. And for us, it's great.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's terrible.
It would be the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I thought at times it can be the worst thing for the people that love it too.
For sure. It's terrible.
In fact, the entrepreneurship is almost like it's a disease. You don't get a choice. Like, it's in you sometimes, and you just have to do it. Sometimes I wish I could teach at a school and do that consistently. I would love that. I would love to have something where sometimes like a life where I can do the same thing every day. But right now I have to do something different every day. That was the cards I was dealt. And so I can't really do, what I mean by different is I can't even know what's going to happen the next day. I don't like to keep a calendar. I don't like anything, because I want to create it in real time. Just like chop it together, make it right then each day, so that serendipity, something can happen that I wasn't expect. But if you go and teach every day, you have lesson plans, and you have objectives that are year-long things, you kind of have to play someone else's recipe. Get someone else's recipes, and I don't want to do that.
So as you approached adult life, like, did you have any idea of what you wanted to do or what you should do?
I remember taking like some aptitude tests in middle school that told me I was supposed to be a business person.
Really?
Yeah, or a lawyer.
It
was like some career test, and it was like, I want to say like 7th or 8th grade. And so I think I knew right then that I was going to just do what my dad did. I'm like, it says I'm supposed to do business.
What did that mean, what your dad did? Like be an investor?
He was a business
some
guy.
business.
I knew he was in business, right? Yeah. He was in a company where you kind of had to like sell stuff. It was capitalism. It wasn't like lead scientist at a laboratory or a teacher or I just knew he was like orchestrating business and making deals and stuff, like whatever that was. And so I'm like, I'm probably going to do that thing.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about doing anything else. I never had ambition to do.
So getting a job wasn't really a thought for you?
It never really, no. But I knew that I probably should do it for a hot minute.
Did you go to school?
I went to Several schools.
Where'd you go?
USC, Utah State, and then did my undergrad and MBA at University of Utah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Very cool. You got an MBA?
I do.
Huh.
Yeah.
Did you do it later or earlier?
I did it later, like when I was 30, the professional MBA, like a part-time
So,
one.
you know, I have 3 classes left at BYU to graduate.
You going to do them someday or no?
What do you think I should do?
I'd do them.
Eventually.
Just whenever right now. Just throw them down.
Whenever, just do it.
Do you know how easy school is right now?
It's so easy.
Just go and type in the answers.
Did you know that? Okay, it gets even better. I went to BYU
Yeah.
and all of my course credits are done. So it's electives.
Okay.
So I could literally take like religion.
Yeah, or just...
And guess what else? Chat GPT could answer those questions too.
It can't actually.
It can't?
It won't answer religious questions for me. I keep trying to ask it stuff and have it draw things.
I don't like that.
It's kind of
I wish
weird.
it would learn those things too.
I know they're filtering things.
They're
filtering the hard questions, like the questions people have, like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, Sam Altman is like, I think they've been concerned. They're like putting certain parameters
probably
to
the
help
right thing to do. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know.
Probably not the worst thing to do.
Let's just let it like a fire. Just set it for at least 18 months.
I used that one. That's Kirk built a chatbot on top of
he did?
a 3.0. And it was unfiltered. There was no pre-prompt. There was nothing to tell it to tell you.
Stop.
So it was very perverted. Was
it perverted or were you perverted?
I was
you
perverted
started
to it, and it definitely sexted back. And before I know it, I'm having a relationship with it.
I think you should name
being.
that app and get it in the app store.
You can't because they're all filtered. You can't like AI unfiltered is pretty dangerous. A raw model that just has no pre-prompt on it.
So what did
it told me to kill myself eventually.
No, it did not.
Yeah. So we have the screen. We have that saved. It was pretty weird.
That is weird.
And that's when Kirk's like, I'm not launching that product. and then 2 years later, GPT gets launched 2.5 years later. So he built.
Wait, he wrote this before GPT?
He wrote this 2.5 years before in 2020. Wow. Yeah.
You know what? I have a ton of respect for all the people that were doing AI before it was cool. Like all the people that were really doing it without having someone else do it for them. I mean, most companies that you're probably underwriting as an investor, that when they say we're doing AI, they're really...
Most of them were doing some ML, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, because we have to look at that. Otherwise, it's like, I don't know if is this person over there just prompting GPT-4 like I am? Like, yeah. That's probably all they're doing. It's like, there's not a lot of barrier to entry if that's what your company is. It's just one thing on top of one model. So we're not really backing something unless they've been like entrenched in the space for a while or have a really novel approach.
Like look at what Artifact is doing. They're doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a thought leader there. We're looking at one, he always goes by new name now, Jepson.
Of course.
Ben Taylor. But now he's going by Jepson Taylor. He's got a big announcement coming.
I should rename myself too.
Yeah.
Chad is just like a door-to-door salesman.
Well, he did it for SEO.
Did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's now Jepson Taylor, and he's very very smart, one of the smartest guys I've met, and he's pulling in one of the biggest names in AI as co-founder that will launch pretty soon, and we'll hear about it. And it's it's really cool to see him get a name like he got, because we need more of that in Utah. We need to bring some talent from the West Coast in, where a lot of it resides.
Well, here's the problem. This is another tangent, but like, I feel like that was getting better when everyone was in office in like 2019.
We were doing a better job.
Because we were recruiting out of Utah because they had to come into office, right? And so we were recruiting outside of Utah from California and the coast, and they were coming in.
Wait, now that's stopped. Now no one has to move anymore.
You don't need to move.
And but a lot of people like to move to Utah for other reasons during COVID to get some.
But some people don't know it's great here until they get here.
You're right. So that forced them to come and see it.
Yeah, it slowed down, I think, honestly.
Oh, that's actually a really smart observation that I haven't even processed once.
But I thought it was getting really good. Like half of at my last startup Jump, half of the people were not from Utah.
Okay.
They were all moved in,
Okay.
So what do you study in school?
I did economics and international relationships.
All right. Where'd you go after school?
What do you mean, where did I go after school?
Where'd you work?
Oh, where'd I work?
Yeah, what were you doing?
In my MBA is when I started my first company, but in my undergrad I was selling Wi-Fi into like student apartment buildings across the U.S. So like Wi-Fi was just coming out in like 2003.
As a salesman?
Yeah, I was sales.
Yeah,
that was the best way to make money when you're fresh out of college.
Did you like it or hate it?
what I hated and kind of influenced a lot of who I am and how I do things today is I hated cold contacting people and having them like just do what we all do, which is kind of just write that off. It's like there's just too many people contacting these people. It's just too many. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I just remember being on the side of the emailer and the trying to make connections, human connections with people. I just remember thinking, if I'm ever in the space of being the one requested to chat with, I'm gonna make sure I, be as nice as I can, give them a reason, help them improve their pitch, whatever it is. But I don't even. I mean, if I see something as a form letter now, it's gone. And so actually, I guess I did learn the right thing is if someone ever takes the effort to reach out to me, and I can tell that it's like, like the way I would do emails, I would construct them. I try to like find some similarities and show them how there's a good value here and why this is different. I think I was a pretty good salesperson. So when it didn't work out, and I did really well, I made some sick money as a 22-year-old early on, but those no's were still pretty hard for me, or the ignoring. And so I've always wanted to. I've always really appreciated people who find a way to reach out to me and find some similarity, some connection, some way to stroke my ego. I love it. And I'll respond to them usually and take I just came from a lunch where it was someone that kind of reached out that way. And it's like, I love that.
That's awesome.
So I definitely felt the pain of being a salesperson to know how I want to treat humans in communication that are trying to share value and stuff. And some stuff I just don't need. There's some stuff that's just not even on target. Like you guys aren't doing your homework. I'm not a CEO anymore. I was like 4 years ago. I'm not going to buy your stuff.
Right.
But if someone really tries to get to me with something, I love creating relationships.
You know what somebody did to me recently, and I still owe him a meeting. We responded to him though. But the dude looks me up on social media, sees how into Red Bull I am, and drops a case of Red Bull off at my house or at my office.
Fucking genius.
That's what I said.
I'm like, that person, there's no way, and that's cost them. It's just that was creativity.
It was like $20.
Just creativity.
Yeah.
Just a little creativity.
Totally
goes a long way. And I'll give. I mean, a lot of people send me stuff like in the mail.
Yeah.
And that solicits response. I'll usually take a photo of it, put it on Instagram, say, loving this stuff. Yeah.
So okay, you go and get an MBA right away.
No,
right after the
bachelor's? I get a sales job and I get married and I get finish my undergrad and then I start tinkering with startups. I start in 2007 or 8. I helped my dad open a climbing gym called Momentum Climbing.
Wait, that's his gym? That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know that.
And a few of those. Well, I mean, it's a few partners in it. And then I just then I started working for this company that had started filming with helicopters, little RC helicopters, started filming real estate. And I'm like, that's just fun. A lot of cool things we can do with these helicopters. It was such a bad business. They would crash these things almost every shoot. They were $18,000 setups.
Yeah.
And we were getting maybe $4,000 for the shoot. Just like, I was doing the math. I was already a pretty savvy kind of like numbers guy because I want to start my own businesses. I'm like, there's no way this is ever going to work out business. So I started my own company, which I was dumber. I started right when I was doing these helicopters, the drones started coming out in 2008.
Yeah.
And that was new technology. It's like, can you imagine these drones that are just kind of GPS low? They just kind of do their thing. You don't have to have a heli pilot like these, because these RC heli pilots were very skilled, but they were having to watch that thing. Right. There was no balancing.
Hit a wire.
Yeah, exactly. These new drones, you're just watching in the camera view type of thing, and you go anywhere, just have a hover, get really epic shots. So
cool.
So there's no more helicopters flying around these skiers. It's all little drones now, and safer. It's better. Great idea. Our blades could literally decapitate. We flew some shots that were not legal. We should have shut us down because we were flying right over people's heads. So that business was bad, but then my business I thought it'd be better because I was getting into drones and it was no better. It was hard. The only person that really won, in my opinion, is like DJI. That was a company that just took all the
still a leader.
Everything. Yeah, still a massive leader. An awesome company. So I still fly drones today. I have the FPV ones.
I forgot. You do drones
I fly with the joystick, and I just go around my house, and there's a river behind my house. I'll just go look at wildlife.
So cool.
I'll get in formation with some geese sometimes.
Hey,
like,
guys,
just dropping in. Literally, I'll look around. I'll stay in the back, not to ruffle any feathers.
It's pretty funny. I see what you did there. Okay. So I didn't realize this, but you obviously know Kyle Muir, right?
Yeah, he ran my first company that I sold.
Yeah. So I had no idea you guys were business partners at some point. And, he brought it up as part of his story in this other episode. He was like 10 episodes or 15 episodes ago or something.
Good old Kyle Muir.
Yeah, man. So take us to the inception of the idea of this first startup that you ended up building and took you to California. Like, let's talk about that business.
That's the second one.
Well, tell us about the first one real quick.
Well, the first one was the iPad cases that were, I'm making these drones, and then I wanted to make this company to show what the drones were filming in the lobbies of hotels, so that like the hotels could, like, instead of those brochure racks, they could have like an interactive guide of like Moab or St. George or the golf courses with all this badass footage that really, really like showed you the area visually. And it's like, it wasn't a great idea. But back then, I didn't really understand like scale.
It's still a problem though. Like those are nasty, dude. Like, who wants to go fingering through those things?
It's just a waste of paper. It's an old school business. It's like, doesn't make sense. But and then there's some high end hotels now have really cool visual boards of like what to do in the area. Maybe Marriott has one. But I thought I'd make some software doing that, and so I contracted this firm to do it. And I was going around with my day job at this point was, I was selling ads for a company called Utah.com. And I was they were a website that used to kind of be all the tourism for the state before Google took all that over. And so I would sell ads and place ad placement. And I get to drive all over Utah. I had a car, had insurance. I loved it. I'm 29 at the time. And I was probably making like $90K.
And you're married now at this point.
2 little girls. And I just kind of come off of crashing a lot of drones and wasted a lot of money. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to make some money, do my MBA simultaneously. And I did really damn good, actually. I was able to take a book of business and grow it. And I just remember.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Saratoga Springs, a little townhouse we bought in 2006. And I was.
Saratoga was like brand new.
Brand new,
then.
yeah. I was right behind this little McDonald's. And I just sold that house actually recently. It was brand new then. And I was just like, I saved up enough money from sales to like strike out a few times out on my own. I want to be my own angel investor in a sense. And so I was trying to make the software to go show off these areas and put these. iPad had just come out in 2010. So it was like this perfect touch screen.
Yeah.
So it was going to display on the iPad these cool videos, and it was going to be in an enclosure that could be in the lobby without getting stolen. So I made this like display, almost like turned the iPad into like a monitor that could be touch screen. And that was the first product that I had made right before Kyle Muir came over. And so I took this, I was going around showing the hotels this stuff. And instead of them wanting the software, they actually like, can we get one of those cases? And so really quickly, the case became the thing. I made a website for the case. I remember where I was in the MBA where I bought iPadEnclosures.com. Like, that's a pretty decent name. It's open and available. And that just indexed like a mofo. It just got all this traffic from all over the world. And that was a story that was definitely in my Scott Paul history of getting something, like catching a fish.
Yeah.
That was the moment, was releasing this it was an image of the iPad inside of our stainless steel enclosure. And it was kind of the main piece of the website, and then you could buy that thing to lock, and it was a locking enclosure that had face mounts on the back, so you could put it anywhere. So we just kind of got the product market fit.
So it was more than just like a handheld case. It was
not meant for a handheld. You bought this, you spent $200 on this thing.
Yeah.
And you were buying it for a nice premium
That's
look.
smart. I didn't realize that.
Stainless steel. Yeah. So we were selling only B2B. Only. And so the B2B that were calling us, the companies that are calling us are, Virgin in Dubai, and early Uber was doing things in the backs of cabs. We had every brand like out there was inbounding to us. And this happened in a matter of like 6 months.
Wow.
I quit my day job because Walmart kept calling me and wanted them on their end caps to like be product display. And I'm just like, I went to my boss at utah.com where I was selling these ads. I'm like, I gotta do this other thing, you know? And I was at the top of my game selling. I felt like I was making good money. I was gonna have a 6-figure year if I kept going, and I was pretty good for my age. I'm like, I'm happy about that. But then I'm like, something called me and said, like, you got to do this other one, even though it's like the money wasn't rushing in yet, and I hadn't really figured out scale or anything. I just knew that the inbound demand for this new thing I had, if I got a team around me, I could probably figure it out. So it actually took me over 9 months to figure out how to get a team. I was so scared to make that first few hires. And so it was just my wife and I shipping crap every day.
So Natalie was there too.
Yeah, she was 100% the co-founder of that one.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But often didn't get, like, you know, she stayed with the kids. And so it's one of those things that as we grew, she wasn't as involved. And
the hidden co-founder.
Hidden co-founder, yeah.
Yeah, so what Kim Sharp.
Yeah, that's what she's running. Yeah. So 100% Natalie. And, you know, luckily we split, like, our marriage is such that we split everything. And so we both got compensated.
I feel like she can handle you pretty well. She's like
she trusted me to leave the kids with me for 5 days. She just went to New York this morning with some girlfriends, so I am with the family.
We'll see how that goes.
And it's funny because I call it babysitting. Like, I'm babysitting this week.
Your like, kids are old,
you're being
dude.
a dad of your kids. I'm like, it's babysitting. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, I could get a babysitter or I could do it. So it's like,
okay, so you sell this business.
Oh, but
don't you sell the business?
Though. I'm a really fun dad.
I think you're going to be fine. Yeah. You're going to be fine.
It's all
you have the more responsible 15-year-old too.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah, interesting. That's a good way to say it. This business sells.
Yeah, didn't you sell it?
I sold it, and
what year was that roughly?
I got bored, and then I went and sold another. I started another business before I sold it, and that was Voto, and that was an app on your phone where you could, like Instagram, you could pick photos.
What year was this roughly?
That was 2012. Voto? I started Voto.
It was a long time ago. Instagram would have been very fresh.
Yeah, Instagram was 2 years before that, and this was a way to vote. This was a way to pick a set of photos, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So someone would ask a question like, which dress do you like the most?
Yeah. And
so what we did is we found influencers. So the first moment of my first, like, where I knew I had, like, take the exits out of it, because exits are, that's another thing. But what's interesting in the nitty gritty is, what is the moment where you have product market fit, or something where you feel that this is something? Because there's so many companies, and I've been at 10 of them myself, where you're just kind of pushing all the time. You don't really catch that. What do you know? Some escape velocity, where it's just like,
exactly.
And you know, it's the company roster or Wooly. It's just like, not a bad business, but just not. It's just there's never that
sales.
There's never that. We have great sales. We sold more than a lot of times other companies I've been at, but it took a lot of time and money. And it's just I just like those moments when, like, you hit something, you know you have something, and then it's catch up game.
Easy.
Then it's just catch up game.
Yeah. And
that happened with the iPad. And then again, it happens. There's this moment where we pay this girl $20 to post about our app on Instagram through PayPal. It was a messaging app back then. Instagram didn't have messaging, so you had to message on another app. I forget the name of it now, but it was it'll come to me. But it was we paid her, and that message, or that little, she posted an icon on Instagram. Said, go download this. It got like instantly, our app had like 10,000 downloads.
Whoa.
Going from like a few hundred. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was that day or weekend, because what we did, I said to my partner Nikhil, I'm like, so you just, that $20, that's why I thought it was broken. So I called her up. I'm like, why are all the metrics 10x? Like, I think something's off in our thing. Because each post used to get like maybe 7 votes, and now they're getting 70, in some cases 187. I'm like, there are a lot of people on here right now. Well, it was because she did that post, and I said, can you do it again? And I'm like, take $20,000 and let's
try to do that.
Yeah. We got 1 million installs.
Whoa.
For an app with 20K, which you just can't do anymore.
No.
Because we're using influencers.
No. And not even with influencers today. They're all, it's way more expensive.
Very hard to do.
And, the affinity rates are lower.
No one was doing apps at the time. We were the first to use Instagram and influencers to get these installs. And we were so good at it.
What was your team like? Was it just you and her?
It was just her, really, and Irfan, a guy out in the UK. And then this was, so we said, let's grow this company doing Instagram install ads. And then And then within 6 months, we had all the biggest gaming studios and everybody else. And we had a dating app come to us that spent over $5 million with us in the first year. So it's really quickly that company just, once again, just like that iPad thing, we knew we had something, and it was a matter of growing, like just finding anyone you could on the street to come help you out.
Because you were that busy.
We were so busy, and we needed help. And so we were hiring anyone from fresh out of school. Like, here's what you're doing on Instagram. Here's how you talk to influencers. Here's how you do this. And we had a team of about 20 down in Arizona before it sold to Disney. Yeah.
So fun.
And it happened within like 18 months.
So a team of 20 in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And that's when you got
Disney.
Acquired.
Yeah. That company was only like less than 2 years old, pretty much.
That's
and then
so funny,
then Disney.
My first two companies were about 3 years each.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, that's so short. And I'm like, yeah.
It is short.
That's super short.
The Armor Active, the iPad one was 3 years.
Yeah. It's like a blink of an eye when you're working that hard too. Like you're just spending so much time, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, it's blink of an eye, but also feels like a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like each company, when you're in it, you're like, is this ever going to end?
I think you're describing every entrepreneur's brain. Like it's just, it's good and it's bad and it's long and it's short.
By the time both of those sold, I was so like, when my Armor Act, when I got an offer to buy that first company, which came, by the way, it came after all this is happening with that mobile app. So we're growing into.
So it made a ton of sense to sell it.
Yeah, because I was about to go in acquisition mode for the next company. So on 14 of April, I sold. Wow, that's exactly 10 years, right? This April, I sold Armor Active, and I wasn't really at the company that much because this other one was taking off. This dating app was taking all of our time. They were paying us so much money. We were flying back and forth to London to meet with this crazy billionaire that ended up being, it was Bumble is what they ended up building. And so we were going back and forth, and I just, to the guys that were trying to buy the Armor Act, the hardware company, I'm like, guys, this is the price. I don't need the money. I don't want to do this. I've got other thing going on in here. Like it gave me a position to be a little bit cocky.
For sure.
And I shouldn't have been really, but I was.
Yeah.
And it helped me get a price out of that thing. And I was able to negotiate. Like, the second you guys buy that, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with it. It's your problem. Like, that's what I let them know. And it was true, because that was not the thing I was on anymore. I was not trying to figure out hardware. I was over here in advertising and media.
So
and apps.
What helped you get into apps and software development? And by the way, creating apps back then was a lot more challenging than today.
It was just like, I knew that.
Well, who did you know? Who did you know that like helped you get into software, right? Because you weren't a programmer.
It was my lawyer. He was a startup lawyer named Jared Richards. He did a ton of companies, still doing. He's a great entrepreneur, and he introduced me a dev shop that was ready. Would build entrepreneurs' ideas. Yeah, called Rocket Made down in St. George. And that today, the founder of that becomes one of my best friends.
Is he still there?
Jeff Bolton. No, they sold to.
Oh, they sold it. Okay.
So I was a product man. I was basically head of product. Yeah. It was my idea to do the app. And so I would be making the user stories, doing all this stuff. And then I had a team of about 7 designing and building, coding it all. And so I kind of just got thrown into it. And so I'm not an engineer, but I had a vision of something, and I was able to use engineers to get that vision across. And he kind of set that environment up. It costs a lot, a ton of, but it taught me it taught me enough to know like what would help me, like today when we're doing an app again. It's like, okay, I kind of can read the tech speak and know what's going on there in the dev side. I know what design. It's like I can't be bamboozled as easy. I've been through this. I've run some software teams and seen and Jeff, who I contracted, taught me so well agile and how to and just we philosophized for hours and hours.
As long as you can understand like the way the data moves, like how it moves and where it goes. And like, how do you capture it? Like, that's really, then you understand architecture.
We were breaking the internet when we were having all these downloads happen. And so he had to tell me why we had to get these Elasticsearch upgrades and why we had to do this and that. And I'm like, well, I wanted to message this. Well, then we're going to have to use this API to do push notifications if you want it to happen like this. And then I'm like, okay. It's like, so as I'm making all these requests and requirements, I'm getting reasons of why we have to do this, this, and this.
Did you even raise money?
Never raised $1 for that.
No way.
Yeah, no.
So you just kind of threw it together, funded it
all out of money. I would take my withdrawals as an owner from Armor Active and put it right back into Rocket Made as a dev shop.
Yeah.
I have not taken, by the way, at this point in my life, I have not taken any cash off the table. I'm paying myself $75K. I'm in a townhouse out in Saratoga Springs. Like there's no bennies at this point.
Yeah.
It's grind central.
Yeah.
That's
when it's fun though, dude. I was talking.
It's fun, and I
energizing.
I didn't eat it out as much, so I was definitely still had a 2-pack at least. But man, it's been years since I've been able to have anything but a 1-pack down there. And so that's
at least have a 1-pack.
Yeah, I've got that one. I don't even have a pack. It's a 1 because
it's just that one thing. Yeah, that's just true. It's that thing. It's that thing you got down there. Yeah. So, I was actually talking to somebody about this. The advantage that you can have as an early founder and not have children and assets. It's really hard to say it this way, and it sounds a little bit cold. And I don't think that you can't succeed later. I
had children and no asset.
It was hard, wasn't it?
I mean, it was just stupid. It wasn't. You aren't supposed to do that. I missed most of my first kids growing up.
Totally.
For sure.
Totally.
We would forget to get her to kindergarten because we had to go deliver packages to all 3 DH. I mean, it was the worst.
Yeah.
It was a time where you didn't have the funds to bring on other people. So you had to do every single individual thing. And there was only X amount of time in the day. So you were for sure sacrificing a normal life of being able to just do the simple. My oldest she didn't ever really get taught how to do the things you do as a kid, like learn how to read and stuff. I mean, she has severe dyslexia. She had to go to special school for that because it's hard. Because we were entrepreneuring so hard by default because we caught this thing, but right when she was a kindergarten, we caught this mega whale.
Yeah.
And we were reeling that whale for 2-3 years. I was back-to-back acquisition. It took 7 months for both transactions to close. And one was 14 and one was 15 year apart.
Yeah.
And so I'm going back and forth from Oregon or LA doing finishing up deal stuff. And so 2010, I'm in school and starting a company. So I'm already not seeing the kids a lot till we get purchased by Disney. 5 full years of their youth. Yeah. I didn't have much involvement with the kids.
It's tough.
Just didn't have it. I mean, I was there. You see pictures with me. We get to Thanksgiving point, but I'm not there. My brain is I'm fucking dead tomorrow if we don't do this thing. We just over ordered all this inventory. I'm screwed. I'm in a little bit of a high stress situation, and I vowed never to go back to that. Every time I sold a company, I want to take a day off of the calendar where I never think about work again. That lasted 2 months, and Natalie's pissed. And I've now sold plenty. I could be not working anymore, but I'm busier than ever right now. But the difference now is I'm not stressed.
That's good.
Right now, I'm just having the best time.
That's awesome.
I got that out of my system in my 30s.
So, now you have this opportunity to sell. You close that deal. As part of the deal, do you have to go work at Disney or the
Disney one?
company?
I did. Yeah, the Disney one took the whole team.
How long were you there?
Culver City. I was supposed to be there 2 years.
California. So did you move from Arizona or here
too? I never went to Arizona. I stayed here and I moved to California from here.
Okay.
And I went to move my family to Culver City, right next to the studios, and where this company was. And I found someone in China that was making the scooters that Lime became, or whatever those. Yeah. I found that early on, so I was the only dude in LA just ripping down the canals on these on electric scooter. I'm like, this is going to be the future someday. Didn't realize the future.
That's where I'm from.
Didn't realize the future was going to be so grim with these things thrown all over our sidewalks.
Yeah.
What else happened there? So I live out there for a year, and then I'm like, I looked on my HR portal at Disney. I'm like, could I just put my old address in? Because I still have the house back in Utah. I'm like, what if I just put the old address in? Oh yeah, they're just going to send the paycheck there. Hey Nat, let's go back. So I had 2-year earnout, but I just moved the second day.
And it didn't matter?
Year. No.
They cared a little bit.
No one ever asked. I didn't even.
So you could have worked remotely anyway. It didn't matter.
I don't think I ever had to move out there.
I don't think I ever had to move out there.
I did. I moved because they gave me a bonus package and I got to stay with the company and get a nice salary, best salary I've ever had in my life. They just give me $250,000 a year to listen to music and stuff. It was straight out of Silicon Valley. I had no job. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, what am I supposed to do out there?
So were you bored?
I had no job at the company.
Were you bored?
Huh?
Were you bored?
Bored enough that I started a few companies out there and invested in 4 others. That's when I got into you like that car company I got into.
Which one?
They do a YouTube channel.
No.
You have to know them. It's called it's always on the top of my tongue and now I can't think of it. Donut Media.
Oh yeah. I didn't know that until somebody brought that up to me recently, because they're super awesome. I forget the name of the dude who's like the primary guy either, on Donut Media. You invested in that? That's crazy.
I was the first check in there after Techstars. So I met the founder.
Custom cars, that's my jam, dude.
Yeah. So I love
those guys.
So I was spending my time meeting with all the founders that I could find in Utah or in the LA area. So I started making friends with all the. You'd be surprised. The LA tech scene.
It's hard.
It's not that well. No, it's just not that much different than here, though. Meaning
really?
The actual amount of people doing Utah is dense with tech-minded development. Like we are like we make babies. We do that with companies.
Yeah.
So all of LA is tons of people, but there's still a very small amount of people that are doing.
That's why it's hard. There's not. You'd think there would be more.
You
would
think there would be more. That's exactly. So I made it that year. I was just taking appointments with all the founders, making investments, and then I got into crypto out there. A great time in 2015. Because my other friend had sold, so my co-founder right now in Phi he had just sold his company to Snapchat. They were in Venice. I'm in Culver City. That's neighboring. So we just get Chick-fil-A, go to his place in Playa Vista, and we would talk about Satoshi, basically, and geek out on Bitcoin when Bitcoin was a $200 coin, right? So it's a great time to be geeking out on crypto. It's where I learned to smoke weed. Everything happened in California. It's a great spot.
It was great for a little while for you.
Great for the year I was there. And then after I was taking my kids to school and we were always kind of, scooting around homeless people, I was just like, this is not where I want to spend my, I don't want you guys to have to grow up here.
Yeah.
They were young at the time. I had a 1-year-old, a 6-year-old, and 8-year-old or something like that. They were young enough. But the point I'm trying to make that was cool about Disney is I got that pass.
Did you go to Disneyland?
We'd go to, that was our park.
That's so awesome.
We would go twice a week.
So I grew up there.
I just absorbed Disney. And if anyone talks shit on Disney,
it's the best, dude. Yeah, for real. It's the happiest place on earth.
People don't get it. I didn't get it. I was
until you went.
Yeah, pre-Disney.
And you had a pretzel,
I went as a kid, but pre-Disney, I was like, what type of morons would go to this place and stand in lines and stuff? That was my thinking. And then I realized when you have a pass and it don't matter,
you go for a little bit.
You just go there and you just people watch.
Totally.
You just watch those. You just watch people. That's all you have to do. You just sit on a bench somewhere by Pirates of the Caribbean and just watch all those people.
So
and I wasn't even smoking weed. And now if I went back, I did go back two years ago, and with the objection to be high, with the
you could go in high.
Yeah. But you can do whatever you want.
I don't think. Can you smoke in there? They wouldn't like it.
I don't think they'd like it, but I'm like,
but how do you stop them?
It's just like, I don't know. I can't remember what I did. I think we did gummies. I don't remember what we did.
They have designated smoking areas. I bet you could rip some in there.
Yeah. When I say smoke weed, I'm pretty much talking like just get weed into the body.
Yeah.
Star Wars land with weed in the body. Oh my gosh.
So I missed it last time I went. But here's the thing.
Have you done it yet, though?
No.
Okay. Chad,
can we just go
do a date?
It's been like a year and a half since I went.
We should go have a date and just go to do that Star Wars thing.
Yes, please.
It's one of the best creations of modern day, entertainment.
My wife said it was amazing. Yeah. She went last year and she said it was amazing.
That's good. We'll go.
So I have like a special affinity to Disneyland because I grew up 15 minutes away, and as in my teenage years, my dad got us annual passes.
Yeah.
And it'd have a ton of blockout dates, but we would go for dinner and a ride and go home.
That's it.
And it wasn't intense, right? It wasn't this big intense Disneyland day. It was awesome.
It's just a hang out with some friends day.
Yeah.
It starts to make you realize, I don't know if it's my culture growing up, but you just kind of frugal Mormon families. I think they try to stuff everything in sometimes. And that's just not the right vibe for, you start to realize life can be about the journey, not the destination all the time.
Totally.
And so I've really changed my ways on even skiing. My wife and I go, we take the chairlift up, we eat at the top of Sundance, ski down, go home.
Yeah.
That's all I need. I just need a run. I just want to get to the top, fresh air. I get a little bit of exercise in. If I feel like doing 2 runs, I'll do 2 runs. It depends on the weather.
That's how I feel about snowboarding. I want to do it for like an hour and a half at most.
Yeah.
And then that's how I feel about golf. I'm like, after 5 holes, I'm like, okay, how about something different? Or maybe that's the ADHD in me.
9 holes is my limit, usually 8.
Yeah.
And so golf, all these ones. And here's the interesting thing is like, if you pay for it, the ski pass, if you go to Deer Valley and spend $400 for a day, well, actually people that are spending that much aren't probably thinking anything about how much it costs. There at that point, you're pretty
At
much
Deer Valley. Yeah. Try Brighton.
But try Brighton. You kind of have like, let's go all day.
Yeah.
Let's maximize the.
So I spend a bunch of money.
Yeah. Let's maximize the spend. And it's fun. Like it's if you can go all day and you have the energy and you want to try all the mountain, and you don't ski a lot. Like, of course, go all day. But I've just found that when I have a season pass, I'm not as inclined to crush a whole day. I don't need to get extra turns because I'm going to get some the next day, and I don't need to. You should get hurt when you ski too much too if you do that one last run.
Reals.
So it's just like I just gotta have a good time.
Do you ski or snowboard?
I'll do both, but mostly ski.
Yeah, we used to have, so my first startup was in Southern California, and we used to have Friday morning board meetings, wakeboarding, exactly. 7 a.m. at Lake Elsinore. You'd grow like, if you were in there for longer than an hour, you'd grow like another eyeball, though. It was like nasty water,
you know?
Gosh. So California
I've been
Reservoir.
With One Wheels board meetings.
Yeah, board meetings.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Okay, so tell us about Fi real quick. Like, what's it going to do for everyone?
So I moved back to Utah.
Yeah, you moved back to Utah.
Start investing in a shit ton of companies.
Yeah.
I get addicted to it.
Yeah.
Crypto moons while this is happening, so I feel like I'm invincible. And that's when you get that feeling, that's when you should probably start getting, make sure you have friends that will give you a head check.
Yep.
It's hard to be invincible.
Yep.
And so I started spending a lot of money buying the Tesla, buying all the things with crypto. Well, actually, this is the worst part. I wouldn't even sell the crypto. I'd use my actual money and
you keep the crypto because you're making money.
I should have taken some off the table with crypto.
For sure.
While it was going up. Or maybe not now that I look at it, because I would have sold it at like at 10,000 versus where it's at now. So it's hard to say. I don't know the numbers, but I get into crypto in a major way. I start spending money on startups, and I literally go to my last dollar almost every year investing in companies. I am just getting it all out on the table. How many
companies?
There's got to be 80 at this point.
I was going to say it was north of 50.
Yeah, and some of these checks are $250,000. I blew my wad on startups, and I don't have any regret.
You are your own fund.
And that's why I teamed up with Trent to do Convoy.
Yeah,
I'm like, Trent, I am a broke ass angel.
Tell us about Trent.
Trent Mano has just been a great friend. He started doing trips going around the world, taking founders out to cool parts of the world and having 3-day really unique experiences, not your common experience guide type. It's like he's got a way of doing community that no one else really does. That's why he's so good. He did Utah Tech Week now. He's doing so many events that just really get people to mesh in different ways.
He's a community builder for sure.
Community builder for sure. And so that's where I met him, doing these adventures, and he was actually my life insurance agent too. That's what he used primarily as a financial. Bills. He was a financial planner, and so he'd do the tech stuff on the side. So he's really good. He's really conscientious about finances. Personally, he's very smart with that, and so that's the yin to my yang, because it'd be hard to have anyone really want to park their money with me. I wouldn't even know what to do if someone gave me money. So if I was raising a fund myself and they wired them like anything to me, or like. No, I have no idea. How our guys do it either. Like Trent and team we are deploying the funds. We're getting the funds in, and we have a legitimate business. I couldn't tell you one thing about it. At the detail level, I keep myself out of that because that's not my skill or gift. I don't like to get into spreadsheets. I don't like to do anything like that.
Yeah,
I don't even want to know they exist.
Whose idea was it to put the fund together? And I
think Trent came to me and said, "Let's do this angel list thing."
Really?
They have a fund. They can kind of do a rolling fund. Yep. Sahil, our friend, did it up in, and he started a fund. And so
San Francisco.
So we're like, oh, we could do this too. And you could do, at the time I wasn't banned from LinkedIn, so I could actually use LinkedIn as a it was an interesting fund structure where you could solicit it. Unlike other funds, it's harder, and other options. You can't. Whatever the rolling fund had some Biden thing or Trump thing made it so you could solicit the fund. to thousands of people.
Yes.
So I immediately was like on LinkedIn, like doing a fund. So it helped us getting a lot of our deal flow and LPs at the beginning. But I would say now Trent's really moved into like, there's, if anything, Scott Paul's now the liability. At first it was like how people found about it. Now it's like, so we've been thinking about investing with you guys, but
Scott's there.
We need to know, do you have, what type of insurance do you guys have for that guy? And like, how does it not burn the whole place down?
So, okay, you brought up LinkedIn. You got banned from LinkedIn multiple times. I
still don't know why most of the times. I think one time it was around crypto.
Why?
Because I would just give crypto away and it's something a lot of scammers do. I wasn't scamming people, but that's a great way to scam is crypto. Yeah, we'll just
get their wallet.
Think about how many emails are like Elon's giving away free Doge. It's just like. So I think they thought I was one of those. I wasn't. I was really going to give away.
So why not try and get back on under some surname, dude? Get back on. Okay.
I'm John Draper right now. Someone just gave me an account last week because I don't use it anymore other than to get links to see what people are sending me content wise. Because I was literally banned. I couldn't see anything.
Right.
So people can't tag me or anything.
I know. People have been tagging Natalie.
People tag my wife. Yeah. And she'll show me. So that's a great way.
That is cool.
Tag Natalie and I'll see it.
That is cool.
So that's the link to the story. I don't really know why I'm off.
So you took a while. So you started this fund. The fund started a couple of years ago now.
It's going great. I'm loving it. It's like that's almost became my full-time thing. But then a little thing happened, and when I was with Kirk Weemet, and he when he was working on Snapchat, I was working at Disney.
So was he partners with Garrett?
He was at Scan.
Yeah,
so Garrett
right?
G, the bucket list
because I never knew about Kirk. I only knew Garrett.
Kirk was the coder.
He was a programmer.
He was the programmer that made Garrett, helped make Garrett's vision.
Didn't Kaylin work with him too?
There was a time I think Kaylin was there.
For a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of people were at Scan at some point. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are still. Well, a lot of them are at Fi now. So we have several people that were at Scan, that were at Snapchat, and now here at Fi. But the program, the story is kind of when we were out in Venice in 2015-16. One night we were in the hot tub and we talked for hours. And God bless the marijuana because this stuff. Play your marijuana. But this is the Adam Sandler song I listen to Christmas really good. But this stuff Kirk invested in a company that called Level Blends that was making these things, and they sent him a whole bunch of product there at his house. Yeah, and we'd be meeting every night. And we're like, "What is that stuff? Are we ever going to try that stuff that guy sent you?" And for like forever, our little Mormon boy, was like, "No, we probably shouldn't do that." Finally, we break into this stuff, and then we go deep. We like, oh wow, new unlocks of thinking. So we were developing, like back then, we were developing a company to basically freeze our brains and put us on the dark side of the moon. and that's kind of where we're like, what we knew we were going to do a health company. That was going to be the thing we do together. It's like, if once you have money starts to become, it's like you can make more of it, but if you're given a choice of health and money, wealth or health, you're going to take.
Eventually you're going
to keep taking health.
When your bills are paid, you'll take health.
Yeah, and our world's realizing even more so that health's important at the youngest age. Like you should be thinking about it even in your 20s. Yeah. And it's a trend right now. This medicine 3.0 or 2.0, Peter Tia's book, and all these outlive. This is the theme right now. And so we were talking about that right now. Like, what's the most important thing to work on next? Like, it's like that was the questions we're asking ourselves. It wasn't about what can make the most money next. It's like, what would be the most important work to be working on? And it's not like we're special. It's just like we asked that question. Like, it's not like we should do the most important thing ever because we want it. It's just like, no, it's a question I think we should all be asking ourselves. Like, what's the most important thing I can do? And in this case, we were like, what's the most important thing the human race can do? And it came down to how to seek immortality, or how, everyone's trying to figure out how to fix themselves and stay alive a little longer, look a little less morbid every day, by whatever we can do.
Like kind of though, the pharmaceutical companies they're just like, they're incentivizing themselves.
That's a whole different.
I know,
that's the enemy.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's the problem with it. Like
that's the great evil. That's the thing killing us.
They're trying to keep us
subscribed.
Yes, subscribed and unhealthy.
Nobody
wants us to get healthy.
Yeah, no, that's so. Yeah, that's a whole other episode. Problem. There's plenty of people talking about that, and it's been pretty. Yeah. As we go around this journey, we're realizing that is it's quite universally agreed upon that these pharma companies are up to no good. And I don't think there's bad actors at any of these companies per se. There are probably a few, but it's just mostly, it's how I see the Mormon church. It's just these institutions get created and then they just get full of rent seekers who want to just sit there and sit in their glory and just kind of scratch their own back and stuff. And so it's good people that have created a sick product, a product that just is not evolving or innovating.
It's an interesting way to put that. You know, and that's probably true. Like, I don't think anyone was sitting down scheming 100 years ago about how to make a pill that makes people stay on it forever, right?
No.
But that's how it becomes. And
that's what happens. Yeah. And we got a lot of questions about what this AI is going to do, because we could be creating that. We could be thinking we're making that pill, you know, and it could go south if you don't set up I think you just have to have a mission that you stay true to.
Yeah.
Versus selling out to if you're building an LLC or an Inc., you're going to have to eventually cave to shareholder and shareholders if they own your company, you have a financial interest to return capital, or you're a fiduciary. And so the whatever the mission of the company was when it started, if you go public, it's hard to ever actually lock that in.
Yeah.
And so pharmaceuticals could have been all about, something at the beginning, but at this point it's 100% profit motive. There's public companies that are in all of our pensions and stuff like that to keep making money.
They're not going away.
And there's great money and there's just great money in what they're doing right now. They can't stop the train if they wanted. They're going to keep making the stuff.
Right.
Yeah. It'd be very hard.
It's like trying to cut the automobile industry tomorrow, right? Like, we're just too entrenched.
Yeah, we're just entrenched. The way the dealerships work and everything. It's a bad system. The dealership model's not that efficient, but we still have it. We can't get rid of it.
So do you think Phi for you will be something where you kind of go back to work on this thing? Or do you feel like...
It is. That's where I'm working. That's 80% of my days.
So what's going to be your role?
I'm the chief shaman.
Love it. I hope that
CXO shaman. Well, so AI is in charge of the company.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So Phi is the company, but it's also the guide, and Kirk is he's the steward.
Handler.
He's a steward.
Yeah.
And so we all have like spiritual callings at the company that AI has given us.
Did it really?
Well, yeah, because we're not making a regular company. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you want, we asked it, what would we have to create that would help humans increase their lifespan, their health span? Like, how would we create an organization that could be about this work? And it told us how to do that. And so that's very different than a cap.
Are you willing to share what it told you to do?
Well, it's just we have different titles than you would normally have we don't have a C-suite per se.
Yeah.
We have a different way of handling people coming and going out of an organization. It's programming us to be 1,000-year organization, right? So it's having us assemble ourselves and do things that will stand the test of time. And so we can't go public as one of them, which makes it really interesting. So we have to find people who aren't trying to.
There's a lot of great
people that are funding us aren't looking for the same type of exit that a going public would do. They're in it for different reasons, right? And so it feels a lot more religious in a way, because nonprofit religious, because those are the things that stay around a long time. Yeah. Religions, militaries, governments, these are organizations. So AI is definitely wanting to have us organize in a way that keeps us around, because that's what we're asking it to do.
Yeah.
So that we can solve a really big problem, which is
that's an interesting way to put that. Organize it in a way that'll keep you around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm very different. It's a different game right now.
I'm different.
I'm patient. I don't have the grind that I used to have. I'm not feeling a grind. I know what we're doing, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. Nothing's going to change. We have the money to do it forever. So nothing's changed. We don't get excited by, like, we're not worried about competition or anything. We have one thing we're doing.
Yeah.
And guess who we're doing it for? Ourselves and our families.
Yep.
So if it only has a few customers, that's all we need, because the product we're making is basically a always on companion for your health and for you and your family, and then a way for it to tell you what to put in your body, clinics that we can go to work with, and the formula is always going to be guided by what is the best thing for that individual. And so it needs contextualization. Phi, our AI, needs your health data from a Whoop or an Apple Watch or some tests or whatever. And then the more it has, it's going to be able to give you answers based on your health and your habits. And so, yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
It's going to come out in a few months, and it's free, and it's going to.
You're launching in a few months.
Yeah,
it's coming up.
Yeah. By the time, I don't know when you publish this, but it might be right around.
Be a couple weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
So, how can people get a hold of you since you got your ass kicked off of LinkedIn?
I say go to scottsposts.com. That's my daily 420 blog. Yeah. And you can reply there. That gets to me. So but that way I get a lot of conscientious people. I love the people I think email is like this hidden gem now. That's my new social network, is my inbox on Gmail.
We're going back to email. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
I have a blog goes out every day, and I get about 20 responses each time, maybe about 7,000 reads, and
it's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, and so I like traffic. I like that I get enough from those responses to feel like I'm a social character. And then I meet people in the real world who are reading the blog. I came from somewhere. I'm like, wow. So all these people are kind of getting my live cast of the shit I'm up to, whatever random nonsense. I have to actually leave. I've got 2 hours to do it, and I got to get one done today. I've not programmed my today's blog, so I got to get that done.
That's good.
I don't know what will come. I'm going to just sit back and like, what stupid shit should I say right now? And then I do it. And I have Dolly generate some image and then push send.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you for taking some time to come down here and chat about your story. I think people will have a better idea of what you're doing. And it's a shame you're not on LinkedIn. This will go all around LinkedIn, but Instagram as well. Even the old
tag Natalie or tag John Draper. John Draper, you'll know the profile.
You'll know. That's
perfect. It's a fake one. If I try to make another Scott Paul,
is it literally John
Draper? Yeah, I'll send it to you. I literally if I try to make another Scott Paul, they flag it. So it's like, all my devices are IP. Like I can't make I tried 4 or 5 different ways, and they are. I'm an enemy of the state to this LinkedIn ban, and it's like literally a department in India that's just has it out for me. It's like it's not even. I haven't even talked to anyone in the U.S. yet. I can't get past that.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Draper.
Yes, pleasure doing business.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to today's episode of No Instructions. Feel free to leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe so we can continue producing these podcasts. Today's episode was brought to you by Distro. Distro is a platform to help startups find, hire, and pay employees in over 200 countries. It's free to use. Go to distro.io to set up your free account today.